Hello, my name is Natuski Nishi, and I would like to introduce about Mistral AI and its use in healthcare and public equity. Oh, wait. Mistral AI is composed of multiple platforms, LeChat AI Studio, Docs, and API. But today I'll just focus on LeChat, which is like a chatbot that provides strong reasoning and gives us brief summaries. I'll be focusing on the healthcare industry as it's really important to invest on healthcare as it has been developing and having technological technologies and large healthcare incorporations also operates through public equity and publicly exchange their stocks. My main objectives of this presentation will be discovering how the tone will affect the AI's depth and usefulness, and also figure how to improve the AI through in aspects of the format of output and dependency on the data input. So more into Mistral AI, the LeChat platform is composed of multiple AI agents, and one of them is data analyst, which basically allows us to put in CSV file or like databases as an input and and the AI provides an analysis and summary. And to explore more about the AI, I use like multiple methods. And the first one is through prompt perspectives, in which I differentiated the different tones between optimistic and skeptical prompt framing. And the second method I've done is the output format. So I asked the AI to generate outputs in different ways, like through narrative text, bullet summaries, or tables. And lastly, through document type, in which I put two financial documents, one with more information than the other. And from these initial explorations, I found that it has good, solid performance and efficiency. It comes with fast response and quick decision making with high accuracy and strong reasoning capabilities. And it also had a good structured format and clean outputs, meaning the outputs were really easy to follow and comprehend. And the website itself was very easy to follow. For example, with the customization of tone and personality, it was easy for me to select a specific tone and give specific instructions. For the weaknesses, though, it was the AI struggled with balancing and incorporating different kinds of tones. It does allow us to put in many different kinds of tones, but it might be better to just put one or two tones in order to focus on that. It is also highly dependent on the quality of the data. So if the data has not much information, then the output would also um, will also be affected. Through these initial exploration, I noticed that the tone of the input could really affect the output of the AI. So my research question was, how does optimistic versus skeptical prompt framing change Mistral's emphasis on upside versus downside risks in healthcare equities? So the variables I changed were the prompt framing. So for the optimistic, I put in prompts such as, what excites you about this company? While the skeptical prompt framing could be, what would you double check before investing? And the outputs I measured were mainly on accuracy, depth, and usefulness. And the controlled variables were my financial data. So the document came from the same company, same period, and the customized tones were also consistent. This would really help the investors reduce risk and have a higher reliability as it is based on like data and metrics. And it will definitely improve efficiency and productivity as the investors don't have to go over the complex documents. So for the optimistical prompt framing, I noticed that the AI would give a table on key figures, so it is easier to visualize, and it would also provide with analytical observations that mentions about the challenges as well. So although it was through optimistic prompt framing, it mentions both the disadvantages and advantages of the company. For the skeptical prompt framing, um, they're provided with a comparison of prior year's data, which shows that the AI is trying to emphasize on the downside risks and the declines. And this was the optimistic prompt framing didn't provide a comparison, so it shows a contrast between those two. And the feedbacks they provide became pretty broad, and it wasn't sometimes specific to the data. So both optimistic and skeptical prompt framing both had a good organization structure in which they have bullet points and had both similar focus on ideas, and they had good specificity with metrics. However, they have a lot of bias since, for example, the skeptical prompt framing provides um, facts about cash flows, but it asks us to make sure if the cash flow is sufficient and sustainable, while the optimistic prompt framing already indicates that the cash flow is like stable and efficient. So for my improvement proposal, since the AI is highly dependent on the quality of the data set, the AI should have a further extended research behind the company's background so it can figure out the specific factors behind the challenges and the trends in the data set. And also, since the output format is always constant through having like bullet points, it should also have a variety in visualizations. Since data sets are really complex, it's better to also include like data, flowcharts, or like graphs. For the application plan, us users should vary on input narratives, so we could include both tones of optimistic and skeptical narratives in different ways, but also carefully consider how the agent's tone should be customized. Since there's a customization of it allows us to customize the tones. For the impact forecast, again, the Mistral really improves efficiency through going over the datas, but we should also carefully consider the bias it could create because on each prompt, they have differences in emphasis. So we should be the ones finalizing our decision whether we should invest or not in the company. So some key takeaways is that having both skeptical and optimistical prompt framing could provide a broader outlook on towards the company, and it definitely improves accuracy since the Mistral AI analyzes through the data set provided. And some limitations to keep in mind is that it is really open to interpretation. So the AI answers with really objective answers. So it doesn't exactly specify whether we should invest in the company or not. And lastly, it's very dependent on the data. So we should also carefully learn about the background behind the company and the factors behind why it has like those specific trends. Thank you. It was they were pretty separate. So first one with the document I put in with less information provided with like a less depth of a response, while the document with more information provided with more depth. And they were also totally separate in ideas, so it didn't really like um, con connect with each other. Yeah. Since the chat has multiple like AI agents, I thought it was very easy to use because the AI agents plays like a specific role on each of them. So like the data analyst was like main dedicates mainly on analyzing data. So I thought was it if we want like a specific if we want to research about a specific focus if we want a specific focus on something, Mistral is really good. I think we should stick to both skeptical and optimistic prompt framing. And within the optimistic prompt framing, we could ask the questions in different ways. So we could see like views from both sides.